Ladies and gentlemen, I called the cryptocurrency bull market top in 2021 within 48 hours of it occurring. I called the 2022 bottom within 10% of it occurring. We got average prices at 19K on a 15K bottom. We sold our Bitcoin at 63K on a 69K top. We called every single macro move in between. And these aren't just words. I'm backing it up with the evidence today. Every single major macro Bitcoin prediction that I've made will be analyzed and assessed with evidence today, and the results will be shown. This is my track record for Wolves of Crypto. Now, ultimately, the track record is exceptionally good. In fact, I have not seen a better track record in the cryptocurrency space. And I'm not saying this to boast. I'm not saying this in an arrogant fashion. I'm saying this because it's the truth. Full transparency. That's what I'm offering you in this video. Most cryptocurrency YouTubers cannot offer you that. They will say the words, they will say they're the best, but they'll never back it up. I'm actually backing it up. Here is the evidence. Full transparency. That's what I'm giving you today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wolves of Crypto track record.
On July 23rd, 2021, I titled a video, "The Bitcoin Bottom Could Be In." This was my first ever Bitcoin video on this YouTube channel, and I started out very strong, making bold claims about Bitcoin bouncing back strongly to see a second leg of the bull market. This video was published in a time in which the overwhelming majority of the market was bearish, the market sentiment was incredibly bearish, and the popular narrative was that the bull market was short-lived and had come to an end in March or April 2021. This was in fact not the case, and in this video I emphasized the increasing likelihood Bitcoin had seen its local bottom after an exaggerated first half of the bull market and would head upwards from here. I mentioned that 43K would be our first macro target of the incoming bounce, and clearing that level would bring back momentum for the next leg of the bull market. This is what the market looked like when the video was published. And if we move forward, we can see from the time this video was published, Bitcoin did pump massively, and it did actually reach the 43K target, facing resistance at 43K. As expected, it reached 42.6K. I said we're going to reach 43 and face resistance there. So not only was I correct about the bounce, I was also correct about the first major macro target being 43. And obviously, as you guys know, from that point onwards, the bull market continued and we reached the high in Q4. Going back right here, you can see that high in Q4 there. That was a correct prediction, my first ever Bitcoin video. Exactly 30 days later, on August 23rd, 2021, I published a video titled BTC Red September plus Altcoin Season Soon. How should we react? In this video, using historical monthly returns data, comparisons to November 2020, and analyzing exhaustion on the Bitcoin chart using traditional methods of TA, I directly claimed that Bitcoin would see a sizable correction in September. I called this correction Bitcoin's Red September, and repeated that phrase over and over again in videos that followed until it actually began. It was clear to me at the time people were getting too confident into major resistance, and the logical move was to sell. I predicted that after this correction, a true altcoin season would kick off, and that this incoming Red September would be a good time to start stacking altcoins, not Bitcoin. This is what Bitcoin looked like at the time I published that video, and if we move forward incrementally, we can see that the September correction took Bitcoin downwards a mighty 25% from the start of September. So that Red September prediction was very much correct, and if you actually look at the date we reversed on the last day of September. So literally the entirety of September was red as per the prediction. And if you go ahead and measure for yourself the Bitcoin returns in relation to the total cryptocurrency market cap or Ethereum returns, you can also see that my claim for an altcoin season was very much correct at this part in the market cycle. The video, again, was correct. Now, speaking of the Red September, this next video was posted on the 21st of September 2021, predicting an end of that Red September and a reversal back to the upside for Bitcoin. It's titled "The Most Important Moment of the Year for Cryptocurrency." Not only did I predict a hold of the 40K level and a bounce from that level and continuation of the bull market, but this was also the first video that I discussed the 4-year cycle to an extensive degree, and I was able to predict in this video, months before the top, that Bitcoin would be topping in Q4 2021. I then went further, and the following is a direct quote from the video. Quote, "I would go as far to say that if Bitcoin crosses 45K, we will be heading for all-time highs and a top within a couple of months." This is what the market looked like when I posted that video, and if we move forward, we can see not only did Bitcoin hold 40K as predicted, and bottom out at 40k, reversing to the upside. But we can also see that Bitcoin did see a top in Q4 2021. It saw a top in November, as you can see. And that lines up perfectly with what I said in the quotation, lines up perfectly with what I said in regards to the 4-year cycle, marking that Q4 top perfectly. And also the quotation saying within a couple of months, we'd see the all-time high and top. That literally occurred within a couple of months. 1.5 months later was the macro top of the cycle there for 2021. So absolutely phenomenal predictions from that video. In a video I uploaded on the 18th of October 2021, titled General Market Update Correction Time Soon, I made a mixed bag of claims, some of which turned out to be true and some of which did not. Firstly, I claimed that the bull market would end in late November to late December. Secondly, I claimed that Ethereum would see a peak of 5,300 in that bull market. Thirdly, I claimed that Bitcoin had a solid chance of reaching 100k, looking at data that indicated a 113k top. Fourthly, I extended the 4-year cycle trend to predict a Q4 2022 bear market bottom for the first time. So this is what the market looked like when I posted that video. We can see, going through the claims incrementally, that our top claim of late November to late December was just off, but very good, all things considered. We actually topped out the market in November 10th, so around mid-November rather than late November. This is what the Ethereum chart looked like at the time of the video, and our second claim was that Ethereum would reach a $5,300 top. If we move forward, we can see that Ethereum actually topped out just below 5,300. The Ethereum top actually was closer to something like 4,900. And I think all things considered, if you're looking at what the average predictions were at that time in the bull market, 10k, 20k, 25k Ethereum, I think that's pretty good. We only missed it by 8%. I think that was a pretty good claim. I'm pretty proud of that claim. And also going back to what I said about Bitcoin topping and cryptocurrency topping in late November, Ethereum obviously topped around the same time as Bitcoin. So generally speaking, these claims were vaguely correct and at least insightful to some degree. I specifically remember people laughing at me, basically all over Twitter, mocking me in my Telegram groups, saying, how could you think Ethereum was only going to reach 5,300? That's a ridiculously low claim. And of course, I stood my ground and trusted the data. Now, obviously, as per my observations of 113k Bitcoin, I was very wrong about that. We went nowhere near 113k. We topped out at 69k. But luckily, I was stepping away from those predictions much earlier than anyone else was. I stepped away from those predictions at 63k, less than 10% away from the top. So ultimately, it had not much of an effect on losing money. In fact, I was able to identify very quickly that that wasn't going to occur at 63k, and we'll speak about that more in a second. And as for my final claim in that video, I claimed that Bitcoin would reach a bottom of the bear market, which hadn't even started yet at that time, right? In Q4 2022. And that was absolutely correct. We reached a bear market bottom in November 22nd, 2022 in the dead center of Q4. Okay, look at this chart. Look when I made the video. I made the video over here before the top had even been reached, when everyone was still calling for 300k and everyone was still calling for a super cycle. I predicted that in the next year, right? Only the next year, only 13 months away, we would see a bottom of the bear market after a major bear market that lasts for a year. I predicted that. That's absolutely phenomenal. In a video posted just 5 days after the last video on the 23rd of October 2021, I titled Bitcoin TA, All According to Plan. At the time of recording this video, we were on the doorstep of entering November and December, which was the window I was expecting Bitcoin to top out in, and we were seeing a sharp correction that had a lot of people worried. In this video, I directly predicted that Bitcoin would bottom out on this correction between 57 and 60k. I predicted that after this local bottom, Bitcoin would see a final leg to its bull market high, which I wrongly expected would still be above 100k. This was to be the final correction, according to me, before the top. So this is what the market looked like at the time, and I expected, as I just read out, a 60k to 57k bottom. And obviously, as I just read out as well, I expected this to be the last correction on Bitcoin before the actual top. Now, I was very much correct about the bottom. We bottomed out, as you can see, in that 60k to 57k range. And it was, in fact, the last correction before the top, because we reached the top after that correction, bouncing upwards a little bit higher than the previous top, going to 69k. So everything I said in that video was correct. Obviously, the 100k prediction was very much not correct. But in terms of us seeing the last correction before the final top, that was very much true. And in terms of us topping out in November to December, that was very much true as well. On November 11th, 2021, I published a video titled, Bitcoin, is BTC in danger of entering a bear market? I kid you not, this video was made literally less than 24 hours after what turned out to be the bull market top in 2021. In this video, my subtle, nuanced suspicions that I displayed just a few days earlier had evidently progressed into actual concerns. I was directly worried that Bitcoin was moving too slow with too many setbacks and made very big claims. I pointed out an ascending support line that I deemed Bitcoin needed to hold. I said that if Bitcoin moves below 63k, I will be selling my bags and de-risking from the market until further notice. And I said that if we broke below 53k or moved into December without seeing new highs, that would be the final nail in the coffin and confirmation that the bull market was over and the bear market was starting. I cannot stress to you, literally, I cannot stress to you how much backlash I received for being cautious in this price region. There were very, very few people in the space showing bearish sentiments at this time, and I was one of them. You have to remember, guys, this was literally the peak of the bull run, literally peak euphoria, literally 24 hours after the market had topped. I was the first to call this. This is what the market looked like at the time of posting that video, literally just after the top, as you can see. I drew in this yellow support line saying that if we broke down below that line, I would be selling my Bitcoin and cryptocurrency bags in general, and recommended people did the same. Obviously, just a few days later, we did actually break down below that line, so we ended up selling our bags at 62.6k. I commonly just to say 63k, sue me. And then also I said that at 53k, we would be officially starting the bear market. And just a few weeks later, we broke down below 53k after some brief support. So I was saying the bear market had started just 2 weeks after the top had come in, and I sold my bags just within a week after the top was in. Absolutely sensational predictions. Probably some of the proudest predictions of my career. But obviously, as previously I was saying 100k, they get polluted and people get confused as to what I actually said. Yes, I was saying 100k until literally 24 hours after the top. So people wouldn't have lost any money if they listened to me. I was wrong about my 100k predictions, but I very quickly corrected myself when I realized there was no supporting evidence for them. Of course, as usual, and as is going to be a very common claim throughout this video, I received huge backlash for selling at that period of time. Again, not many people are flipping bearish right at the top. On January 26, 2022, we saw the first dead cat bounce start to begin, and I titled a video, "This bullish reaction is nothing to get excited over." In this video, I predict the beginning of a dead cat bounce on Bitcoin. I was very clear that this dead cat bounce would not recover the bull market. I thought the bears were exhausted, and I thought a bounce was necessary. So in being bearish in the macro, I was saying this bounce would be medium term, and it would flush out some of the perma bears before heading downwards further. In an almost unbelievably very accurate segment of the video, I directly predicted that my main target for this bounce would be 48k. Quote, this is a quote right here. "If we take history seriously, a test of 48k will be coming over the next few weeks. That would line up quite well." So this is what the market was looking like at the time I made that video. As I said in the video, I was very confident that the bears were exhausted. I was very confident we needed an upwards bounce. Obviously, the trend had just been downwards for a long period of time. Literally, for over 70 days, we had seen a correction non-stop of 52%. So I said we need to see a dead cat bounce. This bear market is moving too quickly. And I predicted the top of that dead cat bounce would be 48k. Now imagine, just go to the comments and look at them. The market environment at the time of this drop, okay? Everyone was super bearish. No one was expecting anything upwards, right? Just like with this ETF stuff recently, everyone gets caught in one bias. The market had just tanked 53%. Ethereum was down close to 70% from the highs. Everyone was on the bearish train fully. And I said, guys, we're going to see a bounce here. It's going to go to 48k. What do? Moving forward, we can see we saw an extended period of time, months of bounces to the upside. And obviously the top of those bounces, as you can see in a second here, was literally perfectly at 48k. To the T. Look at that line. To the T. It reached 48.1k. I predicted 48k. Superb. On April 2nd, 2022, I published a video titled "Bitcoin, a bull trap within a macro bear market." At the time of filming this video, we had reached my 48k target for the bull trap, and I was staying true to my prediction and saying from here we would go down. Guys, you have to understand, we had seen a 45% bounce that lasted close to 3 months. I experienced massive pressure from my audience to flip bullish during this period of time. Imagine being a YouTuber and knowing the market is bearish and making videos for 3 months, right? 90 days saying, guys, this move isn't real, while the market just continued to pump higher and higher and higher. Obviously, my 48K target was reached perfectly, and I said we were going to 48K the whole time, but you can understand how everyone in the comment section, literally 80% of the comment section, was flipping ultra bullish while I was trying to keep them calm. I received, as you can see by the views on this video, more views than ever and more backlash than ever. This was an intense time for me personally, and obviously I stayed true to my predictions. Now you can just see, this was the video right here, you can just see around the time of making this video, bearish macro, last chance for the bulls, ridiculously overbought, bearish macro, confusing TA, nail-biting price action, still no confirmation of a breakout, trend exhaustion. All these titles are very, very bearish because I was trying to ground people in reality, but obviously people were unwilling to be grounded in reality. And if we flip over the charts, we can see when this video was posted, it was posted on the 2nd of April. So the 2nd of April is right over here. That's what the market looked like at the time of posting this video. My target had been reached and I was expecting downwards from here. And that is exactly what we saw. We saw the downtrend and the macro bear market continue for Bitcoin. And soon, within a couple of months, we had plummeted below the recent low and started a more significant May correction. Correct. Now, I want to go back in time a few months earlier to January 31st, 2022, which is when I published a video titled Bitcoin, explaining my bear market prediction since 63K, still on track for 20K to 24K in Q4. Now, obviously, since October 2021, I was predicting a Q4 bottom, but now in January 2022, I was saying the Q4 bottom would happen between 20 and 24K. In this video, using the 4-year cycle and the best data available at the time, I predicted a November or October 2022 bottom at 20 to 24K. This is what the market looked like at the time of making that video, and I was predicting Bitcoin to bottom. I'm going to draw it for you. I was predicting Bitcoin to bottom between this box here, so around 20 to 24K, which is here, and I was expecting that to occur in October to November. This is what the market looked like at the time of making that video. That's where we were. And this white box at the bottom corner of the screen right here was between October and November 2022 at 20 to 24K, which was what my prediction was at the time. Now, as we approached that target, I narrowed down the prediction and I got it correct at around 15K. You'll see videos that claim that in a second here in a few minutes when I get to it. But I just want to show you right now, even though it was incorrect, how accurate it was for the time. 31st of January, 2022. Look how far away we were from the bottom. Look what occurred, right? Let's go to the present day. That white box on the screen, right, is what I predicted. We removed the replay bar, we can see. We were over here when I made that prediction, okay? The white box on the screen is what I predicted. We were freaking close, man. Okay, we were close. That was a very preemptive prediction with very limited data and basically observations and guesses. I was very, very close to getting that correct. Now, I narrowed it down in the future. I actually did end up being correct, but I'm showing you this video here from the 31st of January because it was my first ever bear market prediction on this YouTube channel. My first prediction about the 2022 bear market. We were bloody close. We got the date range completely correct. We bottomed out in November. That was fine. That was correct. We missed the price, but we were very close. So yes, technically incorrect, but we narrowed it down in the future, so I ended up being correct all in all. I just wanted to show you that because that's how bold we are on this YouTube channel. Sometimes we will claim things months before anyone else with limited data and try our best to get it right, and vaguely, for the most part, we will get it right. Speaking of bear market predictions, on June 14th, 2022, I published a video titled, Bitcoin, unlikely to bottom out until October, November, unlikely to hold the 200-week SMA. Around the time of this video, my channel started growing. People started catching on to the high level of accuracy I was giving throughout my 1 year of YouTube at this point. And in this video, I shifted my attention away from the short term and narrowed down my macro bear market predictions. I stepped away from my 20K to 24K targets, which is what I just talked about, and I listed 3 separate lower targets, giving my audience a very clear buying plan. A lot of you will remember that buying plan. I still maintained that Bitcoin would bottom out between October and November. So obviously up until this point, I maintained my 20 to 24K prediction in October, November, but as we reached 26K at the time of making this video, I obviously saw that wasn't going to be possible. So I retracted that prediction and predicted it for 3 separate lower targets in a structured buying plan to give everyone the best chance of getting a decent price in the bear market. I still maintained an October to November bottom. And as we move forward here, all the way, in fact, let's just move forward to the present time and go back. We can go all the way back to October, November, and we can see that we reached the bottom as predicted in November. So our date range prediction was correct, and our average buying price as given in that buying plan, if you want more info on the buying plan, you can go watch the video, ended up being around 18.5k to 19k. So let's just say 19k, let's mark that in yellow. This was our average buying price for the 2022 bear market. If we zoom out, we had this entire bear market over here to buy. We did not start buying until 21k. We bought at the lowest point at 18k, and our average buying price ended up being this yellow line at 19k. Not only did we get the timing right, but pretty much we also got the price right. With an average buying price of 19k, you're really not going to get better than that, right? Everyone who was buying incrementally on the way down ended up having high average buying prices in the mid 30ks. Everyone who was waiting for 10k didn't even buy until we got up to 24k. We got an average price of 19. Exceptional. On August 18th, 2022, I published a video titled Wedge Breakdown, My Predictions and Plan. Around August 2022, after reaching 17k, Bitcoin pumped 43% to 25k, making it the second major dead cat bounce of the bear market, and just as big as the first major dead cat bounce from January 2022, which we discussed before. In this video, I stood against the masses who were flipping bullish once again and claimed that the Bitcoin bottom was not in, and the cyclical trends and macro indicators needed to see more downside. I also claimed that the bounce we were seeing would be the last bounce of the bear market and that the final leg would be coming right after its reversal. This was, again, an unpopular opinion at the time. Looking through the comments of this video and videos around it, you can see that people were overly bullish, and you can see that my videos and my tone was very much a reality check to the vast majority of the market. This is what the market looked like at the time of making that video. We were right here at the top of a major dead cat bounce of around 43% to the upside. Looking at this dead cat bounce from here that took us from 33k all the way to 48k, that was 47%. So this was just a little bit smaller than that one percentage-wise. I said this top was in. I said the bounce was over. I said we were going to go to new lows. And I also said that this would be the last bounce before we went to new lows. Both of those predictions ended up being completely correct, as you can see. Let's scroll forward and see what happened. We went downwards. We didn't really see any other significant bounce. The bounce that I called the top on was the higher high before the eventual bear market bottom, which came in the middle of November, as you can see right there. That was the bottom of the bear market. That was my prediction. We went downwards from there. Correct. In a video posted on the 26th of November 2022, titled Bitcoin, Plenty of Evidence Suggests BTC has Bottomed, Is It Valid? I predicted that it was, quote, quite likely that the bottom was in for the first time in the entire bear market. I pointed to a 9-year ascending support line and the 4-year cycle's date range estimates and the power law corridor chart, claiming these charts gave us all the evidence we needed to suspect the Bitcoin bottom was in. Although I suspected the bottom was in here, I made it very clear that we would need to break 18k in order to be confident in a macro reversal and trigger our buying plan. Once again, these claims of a Bitcoin bottom led to enormous amounts of backlash. Most people on YouTube, and I mean this quite literally, and you'll probably remember it, were expecting 12k, 9k, 3k at this point, but I stood my ground, and admittedly, you can see through my tone in this video that I was tired of the constant emotion-driven comments. I was tired of people getting caught up in their emotions. I was tired of seeing how quickly people could flip bullish, bearish, back and forth over and over again, and I was sticking to the reality. I was predicting that the Bitcoin bottom was in. This is what the market looked like at the time of my Bitcoin bottom prediction. I said, of course, in the video that we'd need to be waiting for 18k to make our first buy, and so we did. We reached 18k only a couple of weeks later, and we made our first buy on Bitcoin. Obviously, our average price ended up being in the 19k region because we bought higher as well. But the fact that we predicted the Bitcoin bottom, or the fact that I predicted the Bitcoin bottom literally 4 days after the bottom and 6% above the bottom is insane. Guys, this means we predicted the top within 10%, and the bottom within 10%. We predicted the top within 24 hours. We predicted the bottom within 4 days. Insanity. On January 31st, 2023, I published a video titled Bitcoin, the 25k rejection zone, massive blockade. At the time of making this video, quite a large portion of the cryptocurrency market had recently conceded that the bottom was in at 15k and flipped bullish. But as is usually the case, the masses were late to the party. As per the video title, I observed the increasing exhaustion on Bitcoin's uptrend and pointed out at 25k as a major resistance zone that Bitcoin would need to see a, quote, substantial correction, probably to the 18.5k level, end quote, from. This is what the market looked like at the time of making that video. And in that video, I predicted a rejection from 25K that would trigger a major correction. And I predicted that correction would take us to around 18.5K, which was a major support zone we found during 2022. Now, that correction did in fact start at 25K. As you can see, we rejected from 25K perfectly after a week of retesting. But it didn't quite reach 18.5K. It only reached about 19.6K. So we were actually a bit off on where the target of that correction was. But our perfect prediction from 25K rejection and our prediction that the rejection would occur and a correction would occur were both correct. So for the most part, those predictions were very much correct and very much insightful to the situation on Bitcoin. Now, on the 27th of January 2023, I published a video titled Bitcoin, the economy will not drag BTC down. Is 50K possible in 2023? So a couple of claims in this video. Around this time, as Bitcoin began moving upwards from the lows quite convincingly, a large portion of people who held on to their bearish claims in spite of the evidence proposed that the traditional markets would eventually drag Bitcoin down to new lows below 15K. In this video, I debunked that claim. I stated that there was no proper evidence to suggest that Bitcoin will be dragged down to new lows by the traditional markets, and furthermore, I suggested that there was very limited evidence to suggest the traditional markets would even go to new lows in 2023. I also made bold claims about Bitcoin, and while admitting there wasn't a huge amount of data, claimed, quote, "It seems reasonable that Bitcoin could reach 40K, potentially even 50K, although that might be a stretch, in 2023. Just imagine the market sentiment at this time and how contrarian my bold claims were. The S&P was tanking like a rock and everyone was calling for a full-blown recession. Bitcoin had been in a downtrend for over 12 months, and here I was claiming 40 to 50K by the end of the year, and that the S&P wouldn't affect Bitcoin much, or the S&P wouldn't even go down much at all itself. These claims were the definition of contrarian. This is what the market looked like when I made those claims. And of course, if we delete the replay mode, we can see that Bitcoin, as per my predictions in that video on the 27th of January, back here, just above 20K, we actually reached 40 to 50K in 2023 as predicted. We reached our high in 2023 at 44K in the dead center of that 40 to 50K prediction. So I predicted the 2023 top pretty much perfectly, vaguely, right? Between 40 and 50K in the first month of the year. Not only that, Bitcoin did not get dragged down by the traditional markets, which was the correct prediction, and which was the most people thought that was going to occur. Most people thought traditional markets were going to drag down Bitcoin. And furthermore, I was also correct in saying that traditional markets themselves would not go down, right? Again, I made this video on traditional markets in January 27th, 2023, which is right here. People thought this was a dead cat bounce. People thought traditional markets would go down more to new lows and Bitcoin would go with it. But instead, traditional markets went upwards as expected. Everything about that video was contrarian, and everything about that video was hated on by the vast majority of people, but yet it was still correct. On April 19th, 2023, I titled a video, Bitcoin, More Corrections Before the Second Leg. Fast forwarding 3 months to April, Bitcoin had seen the correction previously mentioned and skyrocketed all the way to 31K. In this video, I clearly identified 30 to 32K as a major resistance block stemming from 2021 lows. I also suggested that Bitcoin was moving too fast and predicted a drawn-out correction back to 25.2K before what I called the second leg of this impulse. This is what the market looked like at the time of posting that video. The red box is the 30 to 32K rejection zone I listed for rejection, and 25.2K is marked in yellow, which is where I expected the bottom to be. If we move forward, we can see that we reached the 30 to 32 zone and rejected from it as expected, and we also reached 25.2K for the bottom of the correction. Both predictions ending up pretty much perfectly before moving upwards to that zone once more. 2 months later, on July 13th, 2023, I published a video titled Bitcoin, the 822-day resistance line that no one is seeing. As Bitcoin approached 32K resistance for a second time, the vast majority of people expected a breakout to occur on this attempt that would send Bitcoin much higher. And I would have agreed with them up until this video. But while Bitcoin sat at 30K, I identified an 822-day long resistance line, and using this line, I expected the worst and advocated for de-risking and caution in this price region. In contrast to the vast majority of people who are calling for 40K within a month and renewed their bull market predictions, I predicted a sharp correction once more before the eventual uptrend will continue. This is what the market looked like at the time of posting that video. If you want to see the 822-day resistance line, you can go and watch that video. But ultimately, a lot of people were rightly expecting a breakout from this region. This was our second retest after all. The bear market bottom was in after all. But I was standing against them and saying, no, we'd see another rejection down, and that rejection will likely take us to the same zone we went before. 25.2k, right? And then only after that point would I expect upwards trend. And guys, obviously, that is exactly what we saw. We saw a rejection downwards, and we went right back down to the same price region tested before against the odds, right? So I was completely correct about that as well. Focusing again on the same price region here, I posted a video on August 6, 2023, titled, Bitcoin will not go below 24k again. This video was posted after it became clear that Bitcoin had seen a double top at 32k, two separate rejections at 32k, right? This observation of two rejections at 32k led vast swaths of people to flip bearish on Bitcoin. In fact, this was the last time I can personally remember that most people were expecting Bitcoin to go below new lows at 15k, right? Most people in the market were macro bearish. This is the last time I can remember that being the case. So obviously, once again, I stood against the masses and I said, no, guys, we're actually going to hold 24k, then go upwards. And this is a very unpopular opinion. In fact, this was probably one of the most heated predictions in my entire prediction history. A lot of people were berating me for this because they thought that I was denying the TA. There was a double top formation. They thought that I was overlooking that double top. They thought that I was rejecting TA and I was being emotional and I was being a perma bull. And look, I can understand how people would have thought that, but I wasn't. And of course, I was correct. So as seen before, the rejection from resistance became very clear. This is what the market looked like at the time I posted that video. I predicted we go downwards to 24k and then we bounce upwards and break this high. That was a very unpopular prediction because if you look at the charts objectively, you can see that's a clear double top formation. But I had data that most people did not have. I understood the cyclical nature of Bitcoin. And so that is exactly what we did. We went downwards, right, to 24k. We held it as predicted. And then on the second leg, we went right back upwards. We found some pretty strong resistance. In fact, it took a long time to get back above 30 to 32k, but eventually we did so. We broke above it, and my prediction was correct. This takes us all the way to January 11th, 2024, where I posted a video titled, Bitcoin, Wake Up, Major 48k to 52k rejection imminent. This brings us to a time of making this video and my most recent prediction. As the ETF narrative was at the forefront of everyone's minds, Bitcoin managed to move upwards more than 90% over 3 months. I claimed that the market had entered a toxic form of euphoria. I very directly and very boldly claimed that the ETF approval would not lead to a renewed pump, but rather a fresh correction from the 48k to 52k region. This has to be one of the claims that I have received the most backlash for my entire time making content, and it just so happens that it's the most recent claim. This is what the market looked like at the time of making that video. The red box on the screen is the 48k to 52k rejection zone. We went upwards for one more candle, and then we started correcting downwards quite massively. And as of making this video, this is what we look like. That correction succeeded. We went downwards 15%, and if you want updates, my opinions on Bitcoin right now, you can obviously watch my most recent content. That was my latest prediction on the Bitcoin macro, but in addition to these more direct Bitcoin predictions, I have also made countless videos on other matters, one of which is the lengthening cycles theory. During the bull market, in a barrage of videos, I relentlessly criticized the lengthening cycles theory that was an exceptionally popular at the time and held by big names such as Benjamin Cohen. I proposed instead that the much more realistic and reasonable empirically data-backed 4-year cycle theory was the way Bitcoin was going to go. Another important topic was altcoins. Starting as early as December 2022, 1 month after the macro bottom, I claimed that buying altcoins was suboptimal until the halving, and that people should focus on Bitcoin. This claim has proven beneficial as we saw Bitcoin dominance increase from 40% to 55% at the time of making this video, objectively proving to a massive degree that Bitcoin dominance rose and altcoins underperformed as expected. I am also not afraid to challenge my fellow colleagues in the cryptocurrency space. I've made videos debunking claims from Crypto Crew University, from Crypto Savvy, from Benjamin Cohen as mentioned, and will continue to do so in the future where I deem it necessary. I've also made videos publicly debunking the super cycle theory, which was incredibly popular in 2021, again, pointing to more reasonable trends. I've called attention to altcoins that have done incredibly well in the past and will continue to do so in the future. Now, in this video, I've shown you my near perfect accuracy with evidence on macro Bitcoin predictions, but what about my short-term trading predictions? What about my short-term trading win rate in the VIP group? If you go to the information and results group on Telegram, which you can find in the description below for Wolves of Crypto VIP, you can click on this document here and open up the trading results. Let's go ahead and bring them up. You can see we have a 78.52% win rate with 106 wins and 29 losses out of 135 activated trades, which is pretty good, guys. That's almost 4 out of every 5 trades reaching a profit, okay? All of the results are there, fully transparent, just like this video. Now, I hope this video wasn't taken as a boast. It was not meant to be. It was not meant to reek of arrogance. I know for some people that's how it will come across. This is simply me releasing the data, the actual realities, the evidence for all of my claims that I've said I've made for long periods of time. People can go back and check them, fact check the claims I've made, do whatever you want to them. These are all legitimate claims I've made. All this information is legitimate, and this is me being fully transparent with my audience because I know that vast majority of people in the cryptocurrency space cannot walk the walk. They can only talk about how good they are. They can't show evidence or results about what they've done in the past that proves they're good. I'm a professional. This is my passion. This is what I do for a living, and this is what I will continue to do with excellent accuracy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. If you like this video, go ahead and check out the VIP group on Telegram. You can gain access to altcoin trading signals with exceptional win rates. We post in there 3 to 4 times a week. Check it out. We've also got the BingX and BitGet exchanges. If you need an exchange to buy and sell cryptocurrency on, which you do need, remember guys, you're trusting an exchange with all of your money. If something goes wrong with the exchange, you're screwed, right? These exchanges have never been hacked before. They have protection funds in case they are hacked. They're very low in trading fees. BingX is global non-KYC and BitGet is global KYC minus the USA. Sign up using my referral links for 15% trading fee discounts, and getting access to those exchanges there is something you need to do. Check them out below. And finally, the Crypto Academy Become a Trader 10-unit course will teach you everything you need to know how to trade, everything you need to know to do everything I do as seen in this video here today. So check it out. All the information is on the website. And then finally, the email address is down the bottom of the website as well. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next Bitcoin update. Cheers.